So, Zhuangzi has some things to say about this that are very, very interesting. Do you realize how one's character is lost and where knowledge leads? A man loses his character through the desire for fame, and knowledge leads to contention. In the struggle for fame, men crush each other, while their knowledge is but an instrument for scheming and contention. These two are instruments of evil and lead one away from the moral life. Those who rely upon the arc, the line, compasses, and the square to make correct forms injure the natural constitution of things. Those who use cords to bind and glue to piece together interfere with the natural character of things. Those who seek to satisfy the mind of man by hampering it with ceremonies and music and affecting humanity and justice have lost the original nature of man. There is an original nature in things. Things in their original nature are curved without the help of arcs, straight without lines, round without compasses, and rectangular without squares. They are joined together without glue and hold together without cords. In this manner, all things grow with abundant life, without knowing how they do so. They all have a place in the scheme of things without knowing how they come to have their proper place. From time immemorial this has been so, and it may not be tampered with. Why then should the doctrines of humanity and justice to continue to remain like so much glue or cords in the domain of Tao and character to give rise to confusion and doubt among mankind? The lesser doubts change man's purpose, and the greater doubts change man's nature. How do we know this? Ever since the time when Shun made a bid for humanity and justice and threw the world into confusion, men have run about and exhausted themselves in the pursuit thereof. Is not then humanity and justice which have changed the nature of man? People with superfluous keenness of vision put into confusion the five colors, lose themselves in the forms and designs, in the distinctions of greens and yellows for sacrificial robes. Is this not so? Of such was Li Ju, the clear-sighted. People with superfluous keenness of hearing put into confusion the five notes, exaggerate the timbres of metal, stone, string, and bamboo, of the Huangjun and the Tailu, which are ancient musical instruments, they're standard pitch pipes. Is this not so? Of such was Shi Guang, the music master. People who abnormally develop humanity, exalt character, and suppress nature in order to gain a reputation, make the world noisy with their discussions, and cause it to follow impractical doctrines. Is this not so? Of such were Tseng and Shi. People who commit excess in arguments, like piling up bricks and tying knots, analyzing and inquiring into the distinctions of hard and white, identities and differences, wear themselves out over vain, useless terms. Is this not so? Of such were Yang and Mo. All these are superfluous and devious growths of knowledge, and are not the correct guide for the world. He who would be the ultimate guide of the world should take care to preserve the original nature of man. Therefore, with him, the united is not like joined toes. The separated is not like extra fingers. What is long is not considered as excess, and what is short is not regarded as wanting. For duck's legs, though short, cannot be lengthened without dismay to the duck, and a crane's legs, though long, cannot be shortened without misery to the crane. That which is long in nature must not be cut off, and that which is short in nature must not be lengthened. One should not worry about changing them. It would seem that humanity and justice were not part of the nature of man. How worried these teachers of charity are. Now the charitable men of the present age go about with a look of concern, sorrowing over the ills of the age, while the non-charitable let loose the desires of their nature in their greed for position and wealth. Therefore it would seem that humanity and justice were not a part of human nature. Yet from the time of the three dynasties downwards, what a commotion has been raised about them. There has been such a thing as letting mankind alone and tolerance. There has never been such a thing as governing mankind. Letting alone springs from the fear lest men's natural dispositions be perverted, and tolerance springs from the fear lest their character be corrupted. But if their natural dispositions be not perverted, nor their character corrupted, what need is there left for government? Of old, when Yao governed the empire, he made the people live happily. Consequently, the people struggled to be happy and became restless. When Chia governed the empire, he made the people live in misery. Consequently, the people regarded life as a burden and were discontented. Restlessness and discontent are subversive of man's character. And without character, there never has been such a thing as stability. When man rejoices greatly, he gravitates towards yang, the positive pole. When he is in great anger, he gravitates toward yin, the negative pole. When the equilibrium of positive and negative is disturbed, the four seasons are upset, the balance of heat and cold is destroyed. Man himself suffers physically thereby. It causes men to rejoice and sorrow inordinately, to live disorderly lives, to be vexed in their thought, and lose their pattern and norm of conduct. When that happens, then the whole world seethes with revolt and discontent, and we have such men as the robber Che and the Confucian teachers, Tsung and Shi, offer the entire world as rewards for the good, or threaten the wicked with dire punishments of the entire world, and it is still insufficient to reform them. Consequently, with the entire world, one cannot furnish sufficient inducements or deterrents to action. From the three dynasties downwards, the world has lived in a helter-skelter of promotions and punishments. What chance have the people left for fulfilling peacefully the natural instincts of their lives? Therefore, when a gentleman is unavoidably compelled to take charge of the government of the empire, there is nothing better than inaction, letting alone. Wu Wei in Chinese. By means of inaction only can he allow the people to fulfill peacefully the natural instincts of their lives. Therefore, he who values the world as his own self may be entrusted with the government of the world, and he who loves the world as his own self may be entrusted with the care of the world. Therefore, if the gentleman can refrain from disturbing the internal economy of man and glorifying the powers of sight and hearing, he can sit still like a corpse or spring into action like a dragon, be silent as the deep or talk with the voice of thunder, the movements of his spirit calling forth the natural mechanism of heaven. He can remain calm and leisurely, doing nothing, while all things are brought to maturity and thrive. What need then would have I to set about governing the world?